So I'm Alvaro Orsi. I'm the data science lead at ESR. So here I'm here to talk about one digital twin to rule them all, which obviously it's a bit of a joke. It's a presentation coming from New Zealand, so I thought it was appropriate. Also, I'm not suggesting that there should be a unique way of designing digital twins, but rather this is our particular journey at creating a digital twin platform that can actually be applied to multiple use cases. So first, I wanted to say a word about ESR. So we are a New Zealand Crown Research Institute, and as such, our mission is to deliver scientific research and scientific services to keep our communities safe and protect their well-being. Traditionally, we work around four main areas. It's public health, forensics, food safety, and water and environment. Now, data science is a relatively new capability within the organization. We've put together a team around this, which is the team I'm leading. And our aim is to translate cutting-edge AI, particularly to develop services and products that can enhance the value of what we deliver. And this is how we came up with the idea to develop a digital twin program. So our design goal is to generate a platform that can enable data-driven decision-making capabilities to our stakeholders, which are both in the public, also the private sectors. At the core of our concept, we place AI modeling as the key enabler of decision making. So instead of developing an AI-based model to answer a specific question, we actually are looking at this idea of experimenting with modeling capabilities, so giving the user the ability to experiment through a 3D visualization of any complex system of interest. So this allows the user to explore different what-if type of scenarios, forecast the future, opening up possibilities to implement the same platform across different applications. So this is sort of the idea, our goal. The figure on the right that I'm showing there is an animation of the number of reported cases of COVID-19 across New Zealand during 2022 and 2023. And it's actually one of the use cases that we are currently exploring. So there are four sort of main design goals for our digital twin platform: to visualize the interplay of factors, and this means using a 3D simulation for an interactive user experience. Discover interactions, and this is about explaining the present in terms of the interplay of contributing factors with leveraging historical data, essentially. Simulate future scenarios, and this is about leveraging specific AI tools, modeling tools like time series modeling to explore alternative scenarios, forecast the future, identify how to accomplish specific outcomes and things like that. And finally, to allow the user to derive self-directed exploration of data and AI-driven insights. So in order to implement this, we came up with a use case, which is around simulating the COVID-19 outbreak across New Zealand. So although this has been heavily studied over the past years, this is a data set that we understand very well. And so it's a great excuse to develop our model, essentially, right? So we collected data from many different sources, as you can see here, spanning health, social, and environmental domains. And also our data is geolocated, so it spans the whole country, essentially, and we collect several years of it. Now, in terms of the modeling engine, there are different modules that we have implemented, and one of them that is sort of at the center of this enables the discovery of causal links in the data in a sort of an automated way. So this is traditionally done by using Bayesian networks, which characterize the conditional probability across the system. And this process of discovering the structure of these networks actually has gained a lot of traction, a lot of interest over the past few years in the deep learning community in particular. So there are several algorithms that make use of deep learning techniques, implemented for causal discovery, like things like graph neural networks or causal reinforcement learning, and we've been implementing those for our digital twin. Also, global time series modeling is something that we are implementing, and that what I'm showing there is an example of that. Allows us to predict and also forecast things into the future. I'm just going to go quickly over this. Explainable AI is another capability that we implement to sort of gain further insights into our predictions. And also agent-based modeling. So these are simulations of the behavior and interaction of multiple agents, essentially people, right? So here I'm showing a simulation of a measles outbreak in Auckland City. And this is how essentially it would look like in the base experiment is essentially when we let the whole population be infected, and on the right is when we implement 90% of the population with immunized, right? So this is a great tool actually to assess different public health policies. So just to go into the detail, this is how our proof of concept user interface looks like. So there's a lot going on in this simulation, so I'll break it down briefly. On the left, what you're seeing is a 2D map implemented with using the leaflet library. Shows a color-coded heat map that tracks the evolution of any given quantity that the user defines. In this case, it's COVID cases. On the top right, you see the time series of that particular quantity across a particular region, which is in this case is Auckland. And on the bottom right, what you're seeing, most of the factors in the system arranged in a circle with arrows that indicate the different causal links that emerge over a period of 3 months, right? And that's why these are changing. So the cool thing of what we've done is that once you've got this time series model here, you can start exploring how things are actually interacting with each other. So for example, in this animation that I'm showing here, you will see that we are selecting now things like on the top, the crimes count, and on the bottom, jobs online. And you see that the user at some point stops the simulation, and now we choose to reduce the number of crimes by 60%. So this triggers our model inference to recompute essentially this alternative scenario. And this will be shown now by the dashed line here. And you'll see that now the crime counts is down, and this also prompts an actual increase of jobs as time moves on. So these are the type of sort of interactions that we weren't particularly interested in studying, but this is kind of emerges, from this complex system. So now we're moving towards 3D geospatial simulations, and that's an example which we are using the open source platform Cesium for this, and this allows us to replicate the same backend models that show you in the proof of concept, but now with this other level of interactivity, right? So I'm just going to skip this. This is just another example of our 3D platform and different use cases, but just want to wrap up by saying that although we are implementing this digital twin over many different use cases, we are also looking at going to the next level, which is to seek funding from the government for a 5-year program, trying to implement digital twins across the country and different use cases, including circular economies, public health, smart cities, and horticulture supply chain logistics. And we're very interested in connecting with members from this community that will have an interest in participating in something like this, in a research grant. So if this is something that tickles your curiosity, please get in touch with me if you want to find out more. And that will be all. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. And Alvaro, national level data sets and models have a tricky task of balancing detail/resolution with coverage. It seems that you're currently building and collecting data and statistics that governments will already be gathering themselves. How well do you think the system will scale for larger nations or more complex data?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? And I absolutely agree. It is a challenge. So right now we are heavily relying on our own on-prem computational capabilities to leverage all these data sets. So essentially the main task here is or the main challenge really is to being able to compute, to run, for example, inference tasks in a way that your user interface doesn't become too slow, right? Or so that you don't have to wait 2 minutes for a model to run and give you an answer, right? So for that, we are using our own high performance computing infrastructure. And I think towards the future, if we were to do this at a much higher scale, we would need to go directly to the cloud for that.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And our next question here, Alvaro, to yourself again, is in the UK, a whole lot of nationwide initiatives building momentum behind digital twins, like this call, for example, and the Digital Twin Hub. What does the digital twin community look like in New Zealand?
Yeah, good question. I think this definitely not at the same scale as the Digital Twin Hub, but there is quite a lot of momentum, especially in partnership with Australia. So one example is the Smart Cities Council. They do a lot of work bringing the community together, the community around infrastructure and urban planning, digital twins of cities, that sort of thing. There is a digital twin partnership network as well that brings together Australia and New Zealand, and there are also digital twin initiatives in the research space. So other Crown Research Institute like ours are also working on specific digital twins for example, simulating orchards, simulating forests, this sort of thing.
Very good, brilliant. And a follow-on question here is, who are the users of your digital twin? Is it open for the public?
Yeah, so we want to make it open for the public. This platform that I just showed is essentially all using public data. Most of it is public. But for example, ESR is working a lot in different public health disease surveillance programs. So we anticipate that this will be a way of enhancing our reporting, back to government agencies like the Ministry of Health. So we think that this is, so we've started developing the capability, and now that we are in a position where we can start essentially offering this as part of our services. So that's what we think is going to happen next.
Next question, Alvaro, is yourself, is can you comment on the scalability of the digital twin you created? It will be interesting to see how this will work in other countries.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can definitely work. In terms of data management, data ingestion, processing, etc., like I was saying before, I think the cloud environment is essentially made for scalability, right? In our case, because we haven't really, we've only implemented a few solutions, we haven't really seen how the scalability problem around our modeling pipeline, essentially. That's the one that is of more concern to me, right? Like the causal inference module, for example, that I was showing, or having to infer things, retrain, etc. So that is certainly a challenge that we haven't been able to explore in detail, but it's obviously something that we want to do next.